Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page here at Facebook, where I do a daily live stream around the divination cards that I draw in the morning. And so, welcome. Today is Friday. Yay, Friday, January 18th. Yeah, I don't have that Yay Friday. Remember the TGIF stuff? Yeah, I don't know. There's still I think a mass consciousness about that, the TGIF. Kind of get excited because it's going to be the weekend, right? Whereas I really don't have a conventional work week, you know. Ever since I started doing feng shui and space clearing, I work right straight through. Even now, well, even though I don't have clients like that anymore, um, I still work right straight through the weekend. So a lot of times my weekend is like on Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday, not Tuesday, but Wednesday. Um, Sometimes, sometimes. So, but it's still that feeling, right? It's still that feeling of, yay, the weekend's here. Yeah. Hey, Rochelle's here. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you back in the chat. I'm glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well. And before we get rolling, I'm going to share and like and share. And if you wouldn't mind helping us to do that, liking and sharing, that would be awesome. I really would appreciate that. We are trying to help others find us a little bit easier. And so I just need to find the live stream. Here we are. Here we go. So I'm liking and I'm sharing. I'm going to share it over to my news feed. Just saying hi to my friends and letting them know that I'm live streaming. And then please join. Oops, got to spell right though. There we go. There we go. Gotta wait for the Instagram thing to go away. There we go. All right, so Stephanie is back, and so I am. Hey, Steph. Hey, Stephanie. I just said you're back. You popped in. I'm going to leave the sharing to the groups and the pages to you today, and thank you so much for doing that. Make sure my sound is down. Excellent. Thank you, Rochelle, for sharing. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, and Rochelle is saying, went to the physical therapy on Thursday. Have to go to physical therapy 3 times a week. Going to try driving on Monday. All right. Well, eventually you have to, right? And so, yeah, that's good though. That's good. That it's a sign. It's a sign that you're starting to regain your independence. That's good stuff. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Yay. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. So it's like really cold here today. I mean, this is the real January weather that we're used to here in Wisconsin. Granted, we don't have a whole lot of snow on the ground. I think we probably have less than an inch, and most of it's ice on the ground. But I got up to 8 degrees above zero this morning. Yeah, with a high of, I think they said it was going to be like 23, I think. It's flipping cold out there. Gotta bundle up. George is here with me today. He's holding space for us. He's laying underneath the table. He's getting so tall. I'm going to try to get some pictures and maybe a little video for you guys because you really haven't seen him. Of course, I could do that right now, couldn't I? I don't know. Let's see. I don't want to get anybody sick by moving my camera around too much. So I'll try to go slow. Let's see if I can get the wires here. Let's see. Ah, hey, Georgie. Here's George. George is dog nose. Yeah, the dog nose. I don't know. That wasn't a very good picture of him. You didn't really get to see how tall he is. Sorry about the camera. one of the benefits of having an external camera. I can do that, but it also means sometimes you get people a little sick with moving too fast. So apologies for that if you need to break up the Dramamine or the Ginger. The Ginger. That was our previous dog's name, Ginger. She was a golden retriever. She walked on when she was 13, and we waited about 4.5 years before George came along. So it's always good to have a canine in the house. And Rochelle is going, yes, about the independence piece. Yeah, that's good though. It's good. You can say, oh, the snow doesn't come in March and April. Shush. We're just going to say we're going to have beautiful weather. We'll handle it. We'll handle it. Okay, so if you were in Star Nation's Academy closed group here at Facebook last night, hopefully you were able to be in the live portion of the free mini class. We do at least one free mini class a month on various topics. And usually the topics come from you guys. And a lot of it comes from the afternoon live stream, right? The questions that you ask and suggestions that you make for shows and that sort of thing. So last night we had, Polly Jo was the first time she'd done a free mini class for us, and it was, holy smokes, it was good. If you didn't get a chance to be there live, you can still see it at the closed academy. You have to be a member to be a part of that, but it's there, it's recorded, you can see it. She talked about empaths, and it was really about very basic information about empaths and our chakra system, and where and information on how it is really a gift and how our chakras help us in that empathic ability. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I got text messages and messenger messages from different people saying that they were taking notes. I'm glad that it was recorded, because that way they can go back and watch it again. Yeah, because there was a lot of information in an hour. And there were so many other good things that came out of it, questions, but it was questions not necessarily about being an empath, and so we kind of had to make sure that we stayed on topic, because otherwise we could have been there for a good 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, it was really good. So anyway, if you're not a member of the Academy closed group here at Star Nations, and you'd like to be able to get the opportunity to have those free mini classes or any of the information that we share there, all you have to do is go and visit Star Nations Academy and ask to join, and we'll get you hooked up. Yeah, and if you are a member and you weren't able to attend last night's live class, you can just go back and go over there and watch the recorded video. Yeah. Now those particular videos are not on YouTube, just so you know. They're not on YouTube. We are going to be housing them separately. I'm just waiting for Julie Shumway Hill to officially begin her working with us, and so we're going to talk about how we're going to archive those and get them out there. So they may have a slight fee to them to be seen outside of the closed group, but just know that the recorded video will always be there for you guys free. Okay, you're not able to share it, but you can always go there for free, or if you have somebody that you'd like to join, you can always ask them to join. Okay, all right. So today, the card draw for today. It's always interesting to see the combination of how these come. And this is one of my favorite cards because of all the shades of blue, okay? All the shades of blue. Here's the first card. This is the Water Guardian. The Water Guardian. Yeah. I just love the shades of blue in this one. It says, connect with your emotions. Connect with your emotions. I was just looking to see if there was any light language on this one. If there is, I don't see it. But isn't that gorgeous? All those shades of blue. Connect to your emotions. And for me, water is in the western part of the medicine wheel, and it does represent the spirit of water, our emotions. And I've shared this before, is that on the medicine wheel, we're walking we begin our walk on the medicine wheel in the east, which is about air and thought. And we move to the west. We walk toward the west, where there is the heart and the emotions and water. And we call that the blue road, or some people call it the black road. And I call it the black and blue road because that's where our physical life is. That's where we have all our life lessons, and that's where we gain our wisdom from, is on that particular road. And then we take that wisdom that we've gained, and then we walk the good red road, which is going from the south to the north and going to our community, which is where we get to be in service, right, with that wisdom that we've gained. Yeah. So anyway, it was just, when I sat with this one just for a moment this morning, reflecting on it, I realized, was it yesterday? Maybe it was the day before. I would have to double check. Is that we had the air guardian, and that was all about thoughts. Remember, is that if you change your perspective, change your thoughts, you change your reality, you change your intention, and you change the outcome. You change the outcome. I was just thinking, we also had the seer and oracle all in the same, like 2 days in a row there, back to back. But with this one, with the emotions card, this is the card where Kyle Gray writes about having the opportunity to dive deep into the emotions, the emotional healing. Yeah. And we were in a lull, a time of integration, right? And a time to be quiet and to go within and to do that reflective work. Because we had just gone through something individually that was part of our soul growth. Whether it was a small piece or whether it was a huge chunk, is that you still have to go through integration. And I think that this is still about the integration part, because yesterday we were waiting for important information, was to be still and wait for that information. And when we get that information, or perhaps it's in preparation for that information, we have the opportunity to really look at what we just gained, what life lesson did we learn, and we get to go deeper with it by going into the emotions, either around it or because of it. We have the opportunity to do some healing work. Yeah. Rochelle says, I love the feathers and water. Me too. It's gorgeous, gorgeous card. And for those who just arrived, this is the first card, Water Guardian. Water Guardian. And it says, connect to your emotions. Connect to your emotions. Hey, Tina. Tina's in the house. Hello, Tina. Good to have you here. It's always good to see you here, Tina. And with this card, even on the tail of, or dovetailed into the information that we received last night in that mini class, because that mini class was about empaths and how we bring in information, and it is about our emotions. It is about our emotions. And one of the things that I think that kind of goes together with that in this card today is that I think it's important for us to recognize and turn our attention to our emotions, especially when we're empaths, because we have to discern for ourselves what's ours and what is someone else's, right? What's ours and what is someone else's. Because sometimes what we do is we, instead of allowing those emotions from someone else to come, well, if they're coming through us, is not for them not to take up residence, is to release them. And many times we end up holding on to them for one reason or another. Okay. And so when we make that, when we discern for ourselves what's ours and what someone else's, what we release is theirs, and what we work on is ours. So we might have to do some emotional healing around an event, something that occurred, whether it was in your childhood, your young adulthood, or your adulthood. I was going to say past lives or parallel lives. That's still a possibility. There isn't that huge wave of energy coming through and from past lives or parallel lives as much as it was like in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s. There's a lot of people who have done a lot of work. And so there's not that huge need for that. There are some people still going through that, and that's good. I mean, as long as you recognize it and you work on it to heal it, and healing your ancestors along the way, right? And so you're diving deep into you have the opportunity. Nobody's telling you to do it, but you have the opportunity to do that. And, for those people who might be watching the recorded show, this is the cards that we're using. And we've been using these cards since September, end of September. It is Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray. And the artist is Lily Moses. It's a brand new deck, published in 2018, released in September. Yeah. And so here's what Kyle says about the Water Guardian. It says, connect to your emotions. Take time to understand how you really feel. Know that your sensitivity is not a curse, but a gift that allows you to receive and understand messages directly from your soul. So even though you may not be an empath, our emotions are still our GPS system. Our emotions are directly connected to our intuition, okay? So when you're an empath, you double or triple that because you're actually feeling the emotions of another person or groups of people, right? And in any case, our emotions can affect how we connect to our intuition. If we're hiding from our emotions, or we're repressing them or suppressing them, we're shortening up or truncating our connection to our emotions and being able to our intuition and being able to hear the information or get the information from our spiritual team. Okay, and so that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to do our individual personal self-care and healing. And we do that kind of healing in layers, there's that proverbial onion thing, right? Is that we heal in layers. And so you may heal an aspect of that emotional trauma and think, I'm done. And it could be sometime later, it comes back around and you're thinking, what the heck? I thought I healed this, and then you start doubting yourself. It's just that we're healing in different aspects. We have 4 bodies, right? Our mental, emotional, our physical, and our spiritual bodies. And we have to heal that experience in all of our bodies. And so we do it in layers. Some of those layers happen very quickly. Other times it takes quite a time, earth time in between the layers. And that's really a gift. Okay? That's really a gift because we get the opportunity to do that integration, to really take it in and understand it, and then we're prepared to take on the next layer, right? I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a gift. It's like, oh no, I'm going through that again, and I don't want to. Um, but it's a process of healing. Yeah. Rochelle says, I'm honing in on the emotions of others and myself. Yeah, it's really learning how to recognize for yourself when you're feeling a certain way, that asking your team or asking your higher self, is this mine? Or why am I feeling so angry or sad or happy or whatever emotion that is, that it's like, is this mine? Yeah. So that you can discern for yourself. So if you are feeling someone else's emotion, find out why. Why is this coming through? What am I supposed to do with this? Right? And then listen. If it is your own, then you have to figure out, it's like, okay, so why am I feeling sad, mad, glad? It's doing our own work. Yeah. So good for you, Rochelle. Tina says, I was thinking about empath. If a person was born an empath and ended up in a domestic relationship, and it's negative emotional energy coming from the abuser, would if the woman was diagnosed with depression, but it might be empathic feelings, just a thought. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. It would be I think it would be difficult for the empath to discern which was hers and which was the abuser's, right? For a lot of reasons. One of the things that Polly Joe said last night was sometimes the emotions that we're feeling from someone else is really about the trigger or the memory that they bring up for us. So we have an aspect of that in us that needs to be healed. Okay. And so they do that reflection for us, right? And so it's kind of hard sometimes to discern what that is, if that's someone else's or your own, because they're showing us that this is something that's within us. As an empath in a domestic abusive relationship, there's oh my gosh, there's so many layers to that one. But I think it would be difficult for the empath to be able to get through that without help from their spiritual team and without help from their physical support. And that when there's an abusive relationship, one of the things the abuser does is they cut you off from your support system, right? And so they isolate you. And what does an empath do when they don't recognize their empathic gift as a gift, and they don't know how to master that gift yet? Maybe they can't even discern yet what's theirs and what's someone else's. And so what they end up doing is they start automatically, empaths tend to isolate themselves. They stop going to parties. They don't like to be around groups of people. Excuse me. Their shopping is pretty limited, right? And so see, Tina, how it can kind of escalate for an empath, right? That's why I say that they really do need to have a support group or team here in the physical, and also making sure that they're connected to their spiritual team and connected with them for help. Yeah, but I think you really bring up a really good topic, a thought that came. Um, yeah, and I think that's why it's also important to have community, right? It is. Um, to be able to reach out to somebody. And of course, when it comes to our emotions, we want to feel safe to do that. And so you want to have your inner circle, those people that you trust, so that you can share things with them about it, right? Yeah, but I think that you certainly touched on something there, Tina, about the domestic abusive relationship and impacts. And I do know that Polly Joe has done work with others in that arena. Yeah. Um, and yeah, because she started out her practice working with people with PTSD, and so yeah, and so then when you start working on that particular thing, boy, does that branch out to a lot of different areas. And one of those areas happened to be recovering from an abusive relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. And I think that's why it's important that we talk about this stuff the way we do, don't you? Um, because it brings that thought to a lot of us that are listening to this live, but also in the recording. And so we start thinking about those people who are in our lives and how we can, be of service without being, oops, sorry, George, without being, um, you know, trespassing. Yeah. It's a good one though, Tina. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a good one. Hey, stop me in my tracks to be able to connect to that one because I could feel it. It's like, we're talking about things that are in layers. That certainly is. That certainly is because there's a lot going on in that relationship that meets more than that meets the eye. That's for sure. Okay, so here's what else that Kyle has to say about this. He says that the angels of water who can help you dive within to understand the depths of your emotions. So diving deep, going deep with your emotions. These angels are all about helping you to see that your emotions aren't just the feelings that are on the surface. They're also the old emotions you may have locked deep within the shadows of your soul. Through helping you acknowledge your deepest emotions, the angels of water help you to hear the messages these have for you and to unlock your intuitive powers and the energies of abundance. You know, I was just thinking about how sometimes the emotional memory or that part that needs to be healed, many of us don't want to even go there because because we closed that door. We suppressed it. It's like it's in my past. It doesn't matter. I close the door. I'm not going back there. And yet sometimes you wonder because things aren't going well in your life, not the way that you would like it to go, right? And yeah, and you try really, really hard to create the kind of life that you would like, and yet you keep bumping up against this wall. It's like, I get so far and then it doesn't. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I manifest this? You're going as far as you possibly can go and doing well and trying to get there, right? Using your skills, using your wisdom and your knowledge base. tapping into your gifts as best you can and your intuition. But because we didn't take care of what that was back here, we didn't open the door, we didn't look into that way back in the closet kind of thing, it's still sitting there. Its energy is still sitting there radiating. It's almost like a pulse, right? And so without healing that, we can only go so far. Oh my gosh, okay. So it's kind of like you're tethered. With the tether, the line can only go out so far and it stops you. It brings you up short, right? And I know I've got friends who've gone through this, and I've got a couple friends who are right now going through it. And they go up only so far, and then it's like they say, it's like I can't get past that point. What is that? What am I doing wrong? And it's like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're using all of everything that you've learned about manifesting, you're doing it. But if you're not going to take care of whatever this is back here, you can only go so far. You can only go so far. Yeah. And so, to be able to have your team, to have your inner circle, your friends, to be able to help you. And if you know somebody well enough to be able to talk that way with them, and to have them point out to you that you're going to go a heck of a lot further if you just open the door. You have to actually look at that. You have to clear that out, and to be there to cheer them on, or to hold them when they cry, right? All right, let's see. All right, and we got messages I'm not seeing. Oh, nah. All right. Yeah, Stephanie is saying, very true. The isolation can be maddening. Domestic abuse only makes it worse. Yes, it does. It compounds it, right? It compounds it. And thank you, Tina, again for bringing this up. Is that when you're an empath and you're in that domestic abusive relationship, and you haven't even been able to embrace your empathic gift, and you're being bombarded with all of these other emotions, and empaths who don't recognize their empathic gift as a gift, or even those who do, sometimes they haven't really learned how to work with it yet, right? Not effectively anyway. And so what we end up doing is we end up isolating ourselves, because we don't like go to the airport, because I don't like going grocery shopping, because, right? Going to parties, how many people are going to be there? Who is going to be there? I'm better when I'm 1-on-1 or 2-to-1. Have you ever said that? Yeah. Have you ever heard that? Mm-hmm. So it compounds it. It makes it a much bigger challenge. And, and the person and actually both people, both the abuser and the person being abused, they're caught in this cycle. It's like a loop, right? And so to be able to disrupt that loop and insert, they're saying love, insert the love, whether the empath, the love for themselves, to be able to recognize that this is actually hurting me. I need to get out. And start making those kinds of plans. If they would, there's lots of people they could contact, right? I know it's not as easy as just talking about it. It's difficult to do. Yeah. Rochelle says, too bad all you guys don't take insurance. Huh? What do you mean? You mean for payment? For what? Gotta finish that thought, Rochelle, please. To Stephanie, who says, I know a couple guys who are empaths who have faced huge stigma about the emotional abuse from their significant others. Yes, yes. Generally speaking, when we talk about domestic abusive relationships, it's usually the guy who's the abuser, usually. And it's kind of like a stereotype situation, right? But there are men who are also empaths and can also be in an abusive relationship. And the abuser could be a woman, you know, could be, or even when your significant other, when your partner is a woman and you're a woman, right? Um, Being an abuser isn't tied to a gender. It's not tied to a gender. It's just like racism isn't tied to skin color. Most people think that racists are all Caucasian or white people, right? But that's not true. Racism comes in every color. Yeah. Michelle says mental health services. Yeah. Well, there's yeah. Most people will work with someone who has income situations. There's barter. There's part cash, part barter. They just have to ask. They have to ask. Stephanie says Ceranos is listening and says guys have to deal with the abuse too. It isn't limited to the girls. No, it's not. It's not. Um, and Rochelle says you get paid from the insurance. I know. Yeah. Well, there are a few people who are licensed therapists who do the billing. There's a few in our community, Star Nation's community. What we can do is maybe put a call out and say, if you're willing to take, clients, please list your services. There's a few here in the community that are therapists and may be willing to do some bartering and actually there's I think two that do billing insurance. Yeah. And Stephanie's saying abuse all around is significantly underreported. Absolutely, that is a fact. That is a fact. And Tina said, I think it's like the abuser is putting out all these negative mental, emotional energies, and the empath picks up on it, and she ends up thinking depressed, and even diagnosed with depression because depression has to do with a lot of emotions. Yes. Yeah. But that's what I was kind of talking about, Tina, is that, yes, she is probably feeling the emotions, definitely feeling the emotions coming from the abuser, and possibly even picking up on their depression, right? But that's what I was talking about. It's in layers. It's in layers because they're caught in this domestic loop, and so eventually, whether they're an empath or not, eventually the person who's being abused does go through depression because they lose hope. They lose hope that they're ever going to be able to get out or fix this relationship. To fix the relationship so that it works better. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of what's that word, enmeshment going on in those relationships. It's like detangling something. Rochelle is saying, silly, I was just kidding. Maybe I can pay in pop cans. I thought you stopped drinking pop. Hey, Rochelle, You told me that you were cutting down on drinking pop. Tina says, I'm just figuring it out how it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. When we're just, if we just kind of narrow the topic down just to empaths again, and empaths in a domestic abusive relationship, is that first of all is recognizing they have this ability, having this ability. And the other thing, I'm going to say something that probably isn't going to be taken very well, but as in a soul contract sort of way, that this was a part of their soul contract to have soul growth, to learn that life lesson in this, right? And so when they take the opportunities, because there will be opportunities available to them to learn the life lesson, when they take the opportunity to do that, they can actually end the cycle. They can end it by learning the life lesson and removing themselves from that situation. But it's actually feels like it's a vicious loop, right? It keeps going round and round and round and round until the empath makes the decision to grab onto one of those opportunities. Yeah. But it's hard to hear something like that, especially if you're in an abusive relationship, because you think like, I chose this. Why would I choose this? Right? Yeah. Then we go back to belief systems. All right, so with this particular card is that we are being encouraged to connect with our emotions, And if you have the opportunity to really examine, take a dive into the emotional waters and to heal what needs to be healed. Allowing spirit to intervene and to help you. You have to ask for the help, but they'll be there. Yeah. And sometimes, it's also helpful to ask, help me to understand this. I want to learn the lesson. I want to learn what this is all about. I want to be able to master whatever this is. So show me, what is it? What is it that I'm working on? Because if our mental mind can wrap around it, sometimes it's easier. Rochelle says, no, I cut back to 3 cans a day and all caffeine free. Well, good for you, Rochelle. That's good. Your body thanks you too, I bet. Andrea is saying, hi, I joined late. I just wanted to add that it's a hope that things will get better that often keeps women in a bad relationship. Hope is hard to let go of when you love somebody. Yeah. There's that double meaning of hope, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't know if you saw the card, Andrea, but this is the first card. Water guarding, connecting to your emotions. And I was connecting it or hooking it up to last night's class about empaths, because being an empath, it's all about emotions, right? And we have, it's just interesting, right? You can't make this stuff up. That this card would be the first one drawn this morning on the tails of that class last night. And we also recently, within the last day or two, had the Air Guardian card. And so on the medicine wheel, we have, in the east is air, and on the west is water. The east is about mental thoughts that card about air guardian, I think it says something like change your perspective. It's like change your thoughts. And today we get the water card, the water guardian, and that's about emotions and our heart. And it's it's our life path from the east to the west. It's where we have all our life lessons. Yeah. And so it is about balance. It's about moving out of being in our mental mind all the time, and having that out of balanced ego to the west, which is all about our heart and our emotions, our intuition. And even when you're out of balance with that, because you can be, is that you're not grounded. You know, that you spend a lot of times in your upper chakras and you're not grounded. You know, you're airy fairy, you're flighty, whatever words they put to that. And sometimes with our emotions, it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? You get the really high highs and the low lows, and your life isn't stable. Your life isn't stable. So when we have the balance between the head and the heart, and we're experiencing our life from our high heart, we're actually doing our soul work by getting there, getting as close as possible to that. The water guardian. Kyle goes on to say that your angels want you to know that it's okay to feel the emotions that are surfacing in you at this time. It doesn't matter if they're joyous or sad. They are all powerful messengers that allow you to understand what you want and need. Taking time to breathe and acknowledge them lets them flow through you rather than crashing down on you like an overwhelming wave. Note that there is also intuitive psychic messages arising in you at this time, and unless you acknowledge everything as it comes up, you may miss important guidance that can help you to support and love. So it's pretty important, I think, that we take the time to notice and to focus on the emotions, right? Especially when you get something that's bubbling up from the past. Something that's bubbling up from the past. Just take a look at it. Yeah, it was that tether thing. It was that when we have something that happened in the past, and we have repressed it, we've put it in that back closet and slammed the door, and we're not looking at that again. That was in my past. I'm not going back there. But if we don't heal that, we can only go so far without it being an interference or a block. And so we until we take a look at that, we'll always be wondering, why can't I move forward? Why can't I move forward? Yeah. Yeah. Oops. Gotta scroll down. All right, so Rochelle, hey, Rochelle's in the house. Yes, exactly, a life lesson. And we who work with these folks must continue helping them to recognize the lesson as well as a strength. They have to change the situation for themselves, not for the abuser. Yes, oh, I'm so glad you're here, Rochelle. And Rochelle does have quite a bit of experience in helping people with this. She was part of a not-for-profit, I think it was, wasn't it, Rochelle? It was about violence against women, I think it was, right? This was a few years ago. And Andrea is saying, thank you. You're welcome, Andrea. And Rochelle says that then, Andrea, you need to ask, why do you love them? Yeah. That's about diving deep into those emotions. Thank you, Rochelle, for saying that. It's about the dive into that emotion. And Andrea's saying, yes, good question. That was a long ago marriage. I was very naive and vulnerable. These people start out being wonderful, then after you're hooked, it changes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Rochelle is saying, I think that's what it's hard for an empath to do. They're so enmeshed in making things good, more for the other than for you. That's right. Yep. Yeah. That enmeshment word. I went there. I did, Rochelle. I said that word out loud. This is the second card that supports the water guardian card, Arrow. And we've gotten this card a few times in the last 2 weeks. Arrow. And so whenever a card comes up multiple times, then it's really something that we have to look at, right? That we have to really take in. And so it says, surround yourself with protective energy. Surround yourself with protective energy. So, in order to do that dive into our emotions, going deep, we need to feel safe to do that. So, what do you need to do to feel safe to do that? And even, Andrea, even if that means, even though it was a marriage long ago, is there an aspect of that comes to is floating to the surface, for you to heal and embrace whatever lesson that it brings, the wisdom that it brings. Yeah. And so, but in order to do that, you have to feel safe. So, how do you feel safe? What do you have to do for yourself to feel safe to do that kind of deep inner work, right? Your protection field is making sure that that's up. Remember, it lasts about 12 hours, depending which method or technique you use, and it depends on what you ingest, both in food, in what you listen to, music, what you watch on television. It weakens the field if it's a low vibration. Okay. But that's important that you set up your protection. Yeah. And so, you have tools. It's just remembering to use them and to ask for help. Ask for help, whether it's a support group or whether it's your inner circle of friends that you gather them and let them know that this is something that you want to do, that it's time, and will they be able to help you just to feel safe. Okay. Or if you're not already doing it already, is to call in your spiritual team, the whole team, not just a handful of them, but the whole team, and let them know that you're ready to look at this now, and that you want to feel safe. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Client work. So you want to make sure that you use your tools. You know how to set up your protection. Being surrounded by the Creator's protection, right? Yeah. So if you're going to be doing this dive into your emotions to heal what needs to be healed, to gain the wisdom from it, so that you can move forward and have more access to your gifts and more access to your intuition, to really work your soul contract. The steps. And if you don't, maybe we need to do a show about that one too. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Tina says the lesson would be to help other women that are going through the same thing. Well, yeah, that could be. It really could be. That could be about your soul work for sure. But Tina, this is really about looking at our own stuff. Our own stuff. Whatever that emotional healing piece, even, it doesn't, I don't know how to say this without being too blunt. Even though it may seem less than someone going through an abusive relationship, you still have some emotional pieces that need to be healed, and some aspect that occurred that holds you back from really being fully into your gifts. Does that make sense? That yes, I think it's important to help people, and that and yes, you could. Could be a part of your soul contract to be of service to other women that are going through the same thing. Yes, but I think what this is really about is looking at our own stuff and healing our own emotional traumas. Does that make sense? Yeah. Being there for each other is really important. That is very important. And to, not just be sympathetic, but also to be empathetic, right? And so, yeah, that's still important. But what this card is about, or this reading is about today, these two cards together, is diving deep into to do our emotional work, healing it, whatever it is. And has a big energy to it, and needing to set up your safety around it, yeah. And even if it's not the big energy kind of healing work, that it's a little bit less than that, you still have to set up your safety. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here's Andrea. Yes, I learned a lot. I did not feel safe until I left. I have processed through it a lot. I'm good now. Well, that's good. Good for you, Andrea. Good for you. And Tina's saying, yes, I understand it brings up areas you need to look at to heal. Yeah, yeah, it does. And Andrea's saying, it's just an important topic. People don't understand why women stay. For me, it was the hope that kept me going. But you realize finally they'll never change. Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that is a huge topic too. And because we can't we learn that we can't change anybody. We can't. We can offer support if they want to change, but they have to do the work. Um, we can be there to hold their hand, or hold them when they cry, or to be there to celebrate when they reach a milestone. Um, but we can't change anybody. We can only take care of our own side of the street, right? Stephanie says, you got to look in the mirror and deal with the baggage at your feet before you can help others. That's one lesson that everybody learns. Airline masks, yeah, O2 masks, yeah. Yeah, got to put that mask on yourself first, right? Before you can help others. And there's a lot of different ways of saying that too. There's, you can't be of help or help someone else when your cup is empty, when you're out running on fumes yourself, right? It can't be helpful to someone else because you're out of balance. You're not grounded. You're out of balance. You can't really help someone else until you are stable yourself enough to be able to do that. Yeah, but that's what all this is about, right? Is the healing work. And what I do believe what we're being shown here is that we have the ability to do the work. We have the opportunity. We have the support. But we also have to make sure that we feel safe in doing the emotional work. That we feel safe. Set up the protection. Right? It's a good one. It's a deep one. It's a deep one. Yeah. All right. So we're at the top of the hour. And so, whatever resonated with you. If it felt good to you, if you're like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, embrace it. Pick it up, embrace it, and see how the energy unfolds for you today. And is this information useful or helpful in that unfolding? Maybe you're a direct participant in it, or you're a witness to it. In any case, you're learning something from it, right? Right. And if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. It's okay. You can just let it lie. Maybe I'll be there for you tomorrow. Who knows? And then in tomorrow's live stream. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you dig deep and be aware. Yes. Thank you, Judy. Yes, absolutely. Um, and so, we're at the end of the week, looking toward the shows next week. Um, we have a brand new show starting next week, Angel Therapy with Maureen Mann on Thursday, January 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. I interviewed her on Tuesday night. Some of you were there. And so you got to get to know her a little bit and actually experience how she does card draws, her angel cards. And so that was a fun night, wasn't it? And so please join us for her debut, her premiere show on Thursday, January 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Yes. And Polly Jo just sent me her description of her show, and honestly, I don't remember what it is. But her show is on Chakra Sessions at noon Eastern on Tuesday. And then we have Communications from Home, which is my weekly show, at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Monday, almost forgot about Monday. Julie Hedges, The Tarot Journey is on Monday, and that time is 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern. Paul Krause, the Paul Krause Show, he's taking a little bit of a break. He's got some work issues he's got to work through at his own business, and so he's taking January, possibly February off to get some things taken care of on that end. So he'll be back probably in March for sure, maybe in February. And so watch for him. We'll get his promotions out and let you know when he's back doing live stream again. Wednesday night is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. And, that we say that's an evening of divine healing and messages. Now, if you're working on emotional stuff, that might be a time that you could actually begin the healing process. What you do is you bring your own intention. You're bringing your spiritual team with you. And Polly Jo, what she does and her team is they create the sacred space, a safe space to be in. And they also help our teams and you to do that healing and that releasing work. Yeah. All right. So, I think that's about it. It's all I can remember. I didn't have any caffeine yet today. Oh no. Andrea says, thank you, Neshi. No, you're welcome, Andrea. Judy says, thank you. You're so nice, Judy. I think on Saturday or maybe Sunday, I want to share with you a dream I had the other morning. And it coincides with some information about DNA. So, yeah, I'm going to try to fit that in, okay, if I can, because I think it would be nice to share it with my community, and the other thing is that I think it would be helpful to get some another perspective, maybe some insight to it, okay? All right. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll see you back here for the daily live stream and card draw information tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Ba Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.